colleagues of the media, our Facebook viewers, radio listeners, and those are our family members, Liberians, and the rest of the world that follow us for the diaspora on Cllr, LACC, Broadcasting Corporation, and CLBC, and several social media, including the official Facebook Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism. I'd like to welcome you to the 21st edition of MICAT Press Conference here in the refurbished Charles William Press Hall. My understanding is that the superintendent of Mass TV County is here. All of the community radio stations in Mass TV County, they are relaying this press conference. As I said earlier, I gave you the media advisory. The Assistant Minister for Preventive Services at the Ministry of Health. As I always say, situation dictates political change. The county health officer, Dr. Jewell Tarpeh Kollie, is representing. One more I do, I'd like to invite the Deputy Minister, the Deputy Spokesperson, who has a statutory responsibility to officially interview our guest, Mr. Sandro. But before he comes on the national platform, I'd like to let the world know that the Minister of Information, while he's away, the Deputy Minister for Administration, Assistant Financial, well-organized administrator, the Acting Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, and Umutoni Tarpeh is in the hall. I'd like to thank members of the press, especially the MICAT reporters, for their election over the weekend. My boss, we congratulate you. I don't have that authority. Therefore, I'd like to invite the most energetic, the longest spokesperson of the government since I've been in the ministry, Alexandra. Good afternoon to our distinguished members of the Fourth Estate. Good afternoon to our distinguished platform guests, the Executive Chairperson of the LACC, we want to welcome you back here in the historic Charles William conference room here at the Ministry of Information. Sorry you're getting feedback. The renovation work on the last floor of the building still continuing, but we already asked them to report. We want to welcome all of you here for another interaction. The last time we were here, the interactions were very fruitful. And today, being the 21st day of October, we are glad to be here again at a time when many good things are happening for our country. And so, let me stand on the existing protocols as was laid down by my able Director of Public Affairs, Mr. Cllr, to welcome the distinguished platform guests to the Ministry of Information. Today's press briefing will take a different dimension. You know, we normally treat our international friends with respect, and we do not want to be drawn into the politics of the day. And so, whenever the UN is here, we give them the opportunity to speak to the press. If there are questions, we will take questions, and we will leave, and we will continue with the regular format of the press briefing. So today we have the chairperson of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, Councillor Alexandra K. Jewell. Of course, she is the executive chairperson, and she's here to give you updates on current developments around the LACC. As you may know, during the last quarter, the LACC got some indictment from the court. And of course, for this quarter, they've been carrying on some investigation. So when the LACC boss is here, she's about to give you breaking news. So I will encourage all of you to put your gadget in place. When she mounts the podium, she will let the cat out of the bag. We also have in our midst Madam Christine N. Umutoni. She is the resident coordinator of the United Nations here in Liberia. She's accompanied by the Honorable O.J. Gifford Morris. He's the superintendent of Liberia County. Also here is Dr. Nancy T. Freeman, the principal. She's expected to arrive, the principal of the Booker Washington Institute. They are here to highlight a program that you all know about, the upcoming celebration of the 80th anniversary of the United Nations. Why is she accompanied by the local authority from IGB? Because the program is scheduled to take place in Miami County on October 24, 2025. So she's here to talk about this event. Of course, you know the 80th anniversary of the United Nations. Our own president, His Excellency Ambassador Waka, was in the US. He addressed the 80th section. And back home, a formal program is being held to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the United Nations. As a country that signed the Charter of the United Nations, we are grateful to be alive, to be well. And part of the peace we enjoy today can be greatly attributed to the involvement of the United Nations. So as a country, we are happy, and as a ministry, we are happy to have the resident coordinator of the United Nations here to speak. So, we also have the county health team, as was indicated by Mr. Famole. The year, I show you know the announcement has been run by the Ministry of Health about something in the air. So they will clear the air about it when we give them the opportunity. So with that being said, I will now seize the moment to invite to this microphone Madam Christine N. Umutoni, the resident coordinator of the United Nations here in Liberia. She will speak, and if there are questions you have for her, maybe, I don't know what the protocol of their being here is, because they have their own protocol to speak, should be followed by the superintendent. Maybe he will make brief remark as well. And then if you have questions, you can take questions. The IT minister will escort them out of the hall, and then we'll continue with the press briefing. Welcome, madam.
Thank you. Honorable ministers present, senior government officials, government representatives, members of the press, good afternoon. As mentioned, my name is Christine Umutoni, the UN Resident Coordinator for Liberia. It's a privilege to stand before you today as this month we mark a historical milestone, 8 years of the United Nations and 8 years of Liberia partnership with the UN. We are privileged again that this year the main UN Day event on the 24th of October will be celebrated in Kakata, Magidi County. This is important because celebrations will be done with the people in the communities. The events that have been going on throughout the month are numerous, and I'll mention a few. Recently, some of you were at a media briefing that we did at the UN House. It was a media breakfast to speak more about this journey, 8 years of the UN. And then we had a children and a youth outreach at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where we had young people engage. What does it mean for them, the UN, and what does the future hold for them? We actually had a few of the young people who had been in drugs and stopped drugs, giving testimony as ambassadors of change. And we had some of them also play out the UN model UN. We had Climate Action Week, where we cleaned the city and also planting trees. We have a health week that actually started today. Most of you can go to the ministerial complex and measure your heartbeat and check your health status for free. It's a health week, but we will also do a health walk tomorrow, do some sports, and continue with the mobile clinic. We also have a photo exhibition ongoing at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs showing the journey of Liberia at the UN as a founder member, with the signature. So with that, I just to say that the main event then on the 24th will take place at Magidi County, as I just said, and there's a whole program around it. Before it, actually, there will be interaction with communities on the 23rd, young people, and then the 24th. So Liberia was not just present at the founding of the United Nations in 1945. It was a pioneer. As one of the only 4 African nations at San Francisco Conference, Liberia helped shape the vision of the world united in peace, development, and human rights. Today, we celebrate that legacy, not as history, but a living commitment. This year's global theme says building our future together, but Liberia has chosen its own national theme, which says one Liberia, one UN, one future, 8 years of partnership and progress. This reminds that multilateralism is not a relic, it's really our roadmap. So from peacekeeping to development, Liberia has shown the world what transformation looks like. The UN has worked alongside Liberia through the post-war recovery, supported poverty reduction strategy, the poor agenda, and now the arrest agenda for inclusive development, a bold national vision focused on agriculture, roads, education, sanitation, and tourism. Liberia's recent election to the UN Security Council as a non-permanent member is not just a diplomatic achievement. Believe me, it's a symbol of trust, leadership, and global relevance. As President Walker rightly said recently at the General Assembly, the label reads Liberia, but actually that seat belongs to Africa. That's what he said in his own words. And Liberia will use it to amplify African voices priorities and solutions. I know there is a lot of work on promoting youth, women, peace and security, but also promoting peace, security and prosperity in general. We are proud of Liberia's contributions to peace building, climate action, youth empowerment, democratic governance, and so on. The recent elections in this country and peaceful as they were, and the peaceful transfer of power is always being quoted as a good example, not only in the region, but also in Africa. So Liberia is not defined by its past wounds, but its present strength is what defines Liberia. So Liberia's index score of SDGs is moderate in progress, with notable achievements and reduced in under 5 mortality, some increase in clean water, expanding in school feeding programs, and so on. But we know that challenges remain in poverty reduction, gender equality, infrastructure, climate resilience, and so on for all of us to achieve the SDGs. This is a time of recommitment of the UN that we will continue to work together with Liberia to close the gap and to build on the progress already made. I know that 2 of the SDG targets are somehow on track: a reduction of under 5 mortality, and also access to clean water and enrollment in primary schools. But at the same time, we know that a lot remains to be done to achieve all the SDGs. The United Nations country team has been working in our previous cooperation agreement, which is coming to an end this year, on 4 main pillars: human development and essential social services, sustainable economic development, peace and security, governance and transparency and accountability. As we look ahead, the United Nations is also evolving. As you know, under the Pact for the Future, to which Liberia is signatory, we are working with Liberia to shape a more inclusive, responsive, and digitally prepared multilateral system. A key milestone in this journey is the launch of our own UN cooperation framework, a new plan that will be there will be a soft launch at the UN Day. The framework is more than a plan. It is a shared roadmap co-created with the government of Liberia and the UN to guide our collaboration over the next 5 years. It is anchored on 3 priority areas, which are part of the AAID because we align with the national plan, and we have the national plan as our torch, our guide. So the human capital development, good governance, rule of law, economic development, and sustainability are some of the key focus areas. And we've pulled together a number of flagship programs, which include educational skills, adolescent girls first, digital Liberia to strengthen governance, accountability, rule of law, and service development through technology, as well as food systems, where we target as She Feeds Liberia, empowering smart agriculture, especially empowering women farmers. So these are just highlights, but the program is big. These programs embody our pledge to leave no one behind and to catalyze sustainable development in Liberia. We are also advocating for financing frameworks that are more innovative, because development must move from aid to autonomy, from dependency to dignity. Liberia is itself planning to explore innovative financing tools, including climate finance, green bonds, diaspora investments, private sector development, domestic resource mobilization, and so on, to unlock its own potential. So much as we continue to mobilize partnership, but also to see how domestic resource mobilization can drive development. As a climate change champion, and Liberia continues to strengthen livelihoods, and Liberia's call for climate justice must be heard. Those who contribute least must not suffer most. So they bring a lot on climate change, and the world must listen. The UN stands with Liberia in demanding fair access to adaptation and mitigation resources. Ladies and gentlemen, this press briefing is not just an update, it's an invitation, a call to the media, civil society, private sector, all Liberians, partners to join us in sharing the next chapter of this partnership. Let us celebrate 8 years, not with nostalgia, but with purpose. Because Liberia is no longer just a beneficiary of peace, it is a builder of peace. No longer just a recipient of multilateralism, it's a leader in it. You now sit at the global platform, and your voice is respected. So together, let us build a future that is just, inclusive, and resilient for Liberia, for Africa, and for the rest of the world. Happy UN at 80, and welcome to Kakata Magibi to celebrate this milestone together. We really treasure Liberia being a founder member of the UN, among the only 4 African countries that founded the UN. And we also celebrate your seat as a non-permanent member of the Security Council, and we treasure your partnership. Together, let's work together for prosperity. Thank you so much.
Does we name have to say? Yeah. Bring the right? Yeah? Yeah.
Good afternoon to you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Minister, Deputy and Assistant Minister. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon to speak to you on issues ongoing in our council. Thanks for being here and helping to communicate our message to the people of Liberia and the world at large. Honorable Minister, thanks for also affording us the opportunity to serve our agenda. As I stand before you, I am Honorable O.J. Godsfield Morris Jr., the Superintendent of MICAT County. We have come here today to provide updates on the upcoming historic event of the United Nations, which 80th anniversary will be celebrated in Kakata City, MICAT County. We believe celebrating the United Nations Day is a commitment to global peace and cooperation. On Friday, October 24, 2025, Liberians, Migadians, and communities around the world will gather to celebrate the UN Day, which is a specific day set aside to remember. Our country, Liberia, and Magibi as a country has been selected to host this year UN 80th anniversary program. This event is promising to be a significant occasion, recognizing the vital role of the UN in promoting peace, security, the rule of law, development, and human rights around the world. And the moral role of our country, Liberia, as a founding member of the UN, is something that has been globally recognized, for which we have been selected to host, and the UN co-host this year UN 80th anniversary celebration in our country, and specifically in our county. The UN Day is a specific and historic day which marks the commemorations of the formations of the United Nations since 1945. When Liberia signed onto the UN Charter as the only African nation prepared to join the rest of the world to address global challenges, the idea was maintaining the peace and stability of the world we all live and enjoy today. The UN Day is a historic day which marks a day to reflect the peace we now enjoy and the work of UN in contributing to the stability of our country, Liberia. Celebrating the UN Day in Liberia signifies our country's commitment to global peace, security, and cooperation. Liberia was the first African country to sign the UN Charter in the year 1945. That gave the moral recognition to our beloved country, Mama Liberia, as one of the founding members of the United Nations. On this Friday, the world will join us celebrate UN Day in Liberia. And Magidi, as one of Liberia's historical counties, has been selected to commemorate this remarkable historic event. Why Magidi was selected for the celebration, I guess you want to know. Magidi is strategically located as a center of attraction for historical events such as this. Magidi is situated between 3 counties, 1 mountain, and 4 rivers. Nimde, Moswado County, Grand Bassa, and Bon County. We also have the rivers. We have the Du River, the Yamfor River, Bola River, and the Farmington River. Geographically, we have the Gibi Mountain. My Gibi County pay host to 2 international historical establishments. One of which is the Booker Washington Agricultural and Industrial Institute, BWR, which was then established in 1929, far before the formation of the United Nations. This historic establishment of BWR came to being through the innovation of His Excellency President Charles D.B. King, President of the Republic of Liberia, DC. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, we also want you to know that my Gibi County is also a host of this historic event due to the fact that it is culturally and geographically positioned. Economically, we are strategic. We have the only international airport in our county, which is the economic gateway to Liberia. That means a center for economic attraction for international visitors coming to the country. Education-wise, Kakata, who is now the host city, is a student center. A student center city with national and international recognized institutions such as the Liberia High School, the Harvard Multilateral High School, the Hope Washington Institute, the St. Augustine Episcopal Mission School, St. Christopher Tarpeh High School, Kakata Rural Teacher Institute, Kollie Junior College, and that, of course, the MICAT University. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, this year UN team is centered at building our future together. This theme does not just signify the importance of celebrating foundational anniversaries. Instead, it emphasizes the importance of collaborating in tackling global challenges, which are in alignment with the President's arrest agenda for inclusive development, AERD. These challenges, which we have to address, and we are currently addressing them, include education, healthcare, sanitation, agriculture, climate change, poverty, and inequality. These are challenges that UN is working with the government of Liberia to ensure everything is on course and fully supported that Liberia be on path with other nations. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, we want you to be aware that even though this celebration is in MICAT County, yet it will be cut across the rest of the counties, cities, and towns and villages in Liberia. This evening, those celebrating MICAT County will cut across, like I said. We anticipate featuring different speeches, cultural performances, and discussions which aim at fostering peace and development, understanding and partnership, unity, cooperations, and collaborations among diverse populations who will converge for the celebration of this auspicious occasion, UN at 80th anniversary. Let this serve as a reminder of the importance of diplomacy, humanitarian aid, and the rule of law, which UN is high in support of, reaffirming the achievement of the United Nations agenda for a peaceful and equitable world for everyone to live. As I close, I want you to be aware that sufficient work is ongoing in the county, and MICAT is prepared. We have set up so many committees, such as security, health, committee on health, committee on security, on education, on welfare, on culture, on sports, on traditions, etc., etc. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press, as we name the activities that we have put in place in our county to grace the upcoming UN 80th anniversary, it is our hope and fervent prayer that you and the rest of our patriotic Liberians will join us so that together we can celebrate a successful and historic Liberia hosting UN 80th anniversary. Thank you all.
You listen to the Honorable Superintendent of MICAT, you listen to Madam Umutoni. If you have any question, we'll take at least 3 questions, and the team will respond. Before we take the questions, I don't think it is right to keep reminding adults in the room to turn your gadget on silent. I do not also think that it shows any respect for you to be talking in the background in the press conference room. I don't think so. You get your own camera, we do not want to call you out. So when you come to the press conference, just exercise some level of quietude. So we'll now take the questions. How many questions? We'll take at least 3 or 4 questions. Thank you, sir. So let's count yourself from 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Please, thank you. Please introduce yourself. Your question goes.
All right, good afternoon. I'm RSTP Marine Journalist to be specific on my question goes to the coordinator, the union coordinator. Thank you, madam. But would you like resident coordinator? All of what you explained, I didn't hear you talking about maybe international dignitaries that would place the occasion. Would you like to comment on that? Thank you.
International guests. This activity are looking for DD online, and I truly meant to instead of my becoming on the walk through Open Morris for speaking up, debating, 18 anniversary of the United Nations. And the question here is, what do my rather stand to benefit as it in the most country of this 18th anniversary of the United Nations? Good afternoon, my name is Jackson Sefa, and I vote for Senate. My question goes to the resident coordinator of the United Nations. Since the departure of the UN mission in Liberia, that's the United Nations mission in Liberia, in 2015, what has been the efforts of the United Nations in supporting our security sectors? Because, like for West Africa, we've seen growing waves of instabilities covered by military takeover of governments. We have seen instances in Mali, Guinea, Burkina Faso, and the like of other countries. How is the United Nations working hard to make sure that the democracy that we enjoy in our country continue to prevail? And my next question goes to the Superintendent. You've spoken well about the UN, but what has been your new agenda since your inception into office? What has been your agenda? Of late, we got information that your residents were there taking crush on the streets, undermining the government's efforts in the rehabilitation of the roads in Mali. How are you attending to pressing challenges that the people face?
Thank you. My name is Darius Kanga, and I report for Cllr. My question goes to the Superintendent. Mr. Superintendent, thank you very much. As you describe Liberia as a central attraction, and this Friday, the UN will be celebrating its 80th anniversary. You spoke very well. I did not hear you talk about security measures being put in place in regard to the process. Can you speak to that? Thank you.
Was there a full question?
Yes, yes, sir.
Full now?
Yes, sir. Yeah, the rest can wait.
Oh, you want to go outside? Yeah.
Thank you very much for the question. Regarding the guests for the UN 80th anniversary, just to clarify that this is a national celebration, and it's a celebration event that are co-organized by the UN and the government of Liberia, led by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that we want to thank you very much, in collaboration with the county leaders at Magigi. But in country, we have guests who will be attending. We have an Assistant Secretary General who is in town, who will be attending. We also have a Deputy Director for Peace Building Fund who will be attending. And then we have government dignitaries, international partners, and the community at large. Thank you so much. Now, there is a question around the departure of UNMIL and what the UN continues to do to support the security sector. First of all, I want to congratulate Liberia because UNMIL, the collaboration between UNMIL and Liberia was good, and it is on record that it is the best mission that was closed systematically and well. It's being quoted as an example. The collaboration between the government and the UN in closing UNMIL was exemplary. Part of why it was exemplary, it was the transfer of capacity from what UNMIL was doing to the government itself, and for government to lead in its own development, including security. And it was phased out, it was not abrupt. So Liberia should be happy. You know, no country should be wishing for a mission or for anyone to be there for their security sector. Liberia should be happy when you feel that you can deal with your own security issues. Liberia is being recognized for having sustained peace the past 20 years. There are countries that are in cyclical wars that will never end on this African continent, and you know some of them, that you have sustained peace since the peace accord throughout the peace building period. And we are 20 years, no gun on the street, is a very, very important thing to hold on. And based off on that, Liberia can move in its development trajectory. I think of all people, Liberia and others know that without peace, there is no development. So the UN continues in its own cooperation framework, mainly on the development angle, and including sustaining peace. And now with Liberia at the Security Council, promoting peace and security is going to be part of its own big agenda. So again, national ownership of security systems. And security is not about governments or the armed forces, it's about the people. And I saw it live when I was here during the elections, that young people, women, communities, they all wanted peace at all costs. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. If I got you well, you asked about what Magigi stand to benefit. I think Magigi and Liberia as a whole have already started benefiting from UN. The non-permanent seat of UN currently being occupied by Liberia is a benefit. terms of development, as you said, security and infrastructure, there are many things that UN have been doing for Liberia. You know, UN is like the river that flows. When it flows in the bush, it doesn't return back with everything. So we are optimistic that UN has a specific package that after hosting the 80th anniversary, MICAT will have something to point to. And you ask me what is my agenda? My agenda is the president's agenda. So I'm tapping the president's agenda. So now you have a soft agenda that have been crafted called Forward MICAT. Forward MICAT agenda for inclusive development. That is my agenda. So including security, stability, development, youth empowerment, everything we should do to promote the president's agenda, sanitation, road, and everything, we are prepared to do it in MICAT County. You asked me for people taking cross drag in honor money. I think before I got to the position of superintendent, was when that occurred. Since I took over such an act had not been exhibited in my county, and honor my jurisdiction as superintendent of MICAT County. So the security issue you asked for, what are some security measures? Like I said, there are so many committees we have put in place, one of which is the Committee on Security. And it will interest you to know that the security of the county lies in the hands of the people. So that for people, you will have the motorcycle that will be doing UN RA on that day, on Thursday. We have UN RA. On Thursday, we'll be planting trees. On Thursday, we'll be playing games, we'll be marching, the students will be participating, and so many things will be happening on Thursday. So it tells you the people, when they are involved, they will maintain the peace. When peace is being maintained, then you have stability and you don't worry about security. So my givings are prepared for this occasion. As we speak, BDF and I go there, you have both officials from GSA and my givings local technicians. They are now working the policies in place to ensure that the occasion is grand. So you can rest assured, security detail is in tight and the occasion will be successful. Thank you.
We want to thank Umutoni and the Honorable Superintendent of MICAT County for coming. Mr. Acting Minister. Thank you. Please shut the door. To begin with, I want to clear the air of certain issues that we have observed in the public space. There are some who, in an attempt to undermine the efforts that have been made at the Ministry of Information to manage the government communication, they have started to misrepresent what the ministry is. And that has come to our attention. Some of these figures are acting solely based on political reasons. There are others who are deliberately targeting the Ministry of Information because they do believe that we are standing in their way and we have stalled the effort to disseminate this information wrong information about the government to the public. There are others who are deliberately targeting us because they do believe that our being here is helping to consolidate the relationship between the government and the people. And so they have started to brand this ministry all sorts of names. Some I will not say here. What I can say is that we have a duty. And that duty requires us to manage and supervise government communication. Beyond that, the responsibility is imposed on us to repel negative propaganda against the government. The public is aware, as some of these people who are trying daily, that the Ministry of Information is going after them and calling out names. The public is aware of what they have said. Some of them are fasting and praying for the government to fail, for the Liberian people to fail. So we just got to make it known to people who follow the Ministry of Information, all these mischaracterization from opposition figures should not be taken seriously. Of course, you may not necessarily agree with our choice of words here. That's one thing to disagree with us. But it is another thing to say that the ministry is involved in the business of raining vulgarities, insult on people who disagree with the government. We have never done that. I just want to clear the air on that. There are some who believe, who have dedicated unto themselves the responsibility that everything that happened here in Liberia, they will take a bad path and blow it up. The negativity, that nothing is happening for Liberia. They are targeting us because, yeah, we are very proactive. So they believe that their own platform, the substance of their own platform is being diluted by the proactive nature of the Ministry of Information. So they will not go on their very platform without talking anything and don't mention the Ministry of Information. Of course, we are a public entity, but that attempt to give us that mischaracterization, to portray a distorted picture of a ministry that has elevated the standard of the national discourse is wrong. The public spirit is there. All we have done is to ensure that the national discourse is sanitized. When people get shot with their political views, they want to express their view, that's fine. As a ministry, we have a duty. So you tell me, what is the Ministry of Information supposed to do to somebody who goes on international platforms saying he's doing everything he can for the government to fail? He's supposed to call me and lay a red carpet for him. Because part of the problem that person has with the ministry is that the ministry issued a statement, and according to him, the ministry, the statement has placed a dent on his reputation. And so they cry all over the place. I just want to clarify that we are not here to target anybody. We are here to manage and supervise government communication. But don't forget that the law creating this ministry imposes upon us a duty to repel negative propaganda and people who don't see anything good. For example, just yesterday evening, the Ministry of Finance being responsible and accountable to the public, to civil servant, issue a statement and said we are transitioning from one system of payroll, one payroll system to another. As a result of this transition, there will be delay in the payment of salary for the month of October. Boom. It is blown out of context. It is a topical issue. Simply because you just want to focus on negativity. One negativity after the other. It is not helping the country. It is not helping the country. So one thing last time the Minister of Finance issued a statement, which I will talk about later. And that they are trying to roll out salary to over 31 entities of government. But those who are rolling with that negative news, what I want to tell you is that the Minister of Finance said that that problem has been resolved and they are not paying people. So you see, there are people who are stuck in neutral. So that mischaracterization is misleading, and we will continue to do what we're supposed to do here as a spokes entity of the government of Liberia. The World Bank has approved 88.7 million, an initiative aimed at enhancing foundational learning in Liberia's public schools, marking a significant advancement in the country's education sector. This follows the signing of the project between the government of Liberia and the World Bank. I read that again. This follows the signing of the project between the government of Liberia and the World Bank in the tune of a 88.7 million agreement aimed at transforming public primary education across the country through the Excellent Learning in Liberia (EXCEL) project. The EXCEL project will support the construction of over 100 primary schools and rehabilitation of classrooms across the country, train more than 6,500 teachers, and provide leadership development for over 4,500 schools administrators. In total, the project will reach 2,337 public primary schools and improve foundational literacy for over 350,000 primary students through enhanced instructional material and teaching methods. An estimated 12,000 teachers and school leaders will receive specialized training and to strengthen foundational learning outcomes and classroom effectiveness, among other outcomes. So this is the thing I was talking about. The Ministry of Finance and Development Planning informs civil servants and other workers of the government that significant progress has been made with the system upgrades at Liberia Data Center to facilitate the start of disbursement of salary payments for employees for more than 31 government or Liberia ministries and institutions. Technical challenges with upgrades have occasioned the announcement issued by the MFDP on Friday, October 17, informing the public that the payment of salaries for workers for the month of October will experience a week delay. The MFDP is pleased to report that it has already disbursed to commercial banks salary payments for employees of more than 31 government ministries, agencies, and commissions, and the disbursement of salary payments for several other GOL entities is on the way. The government of Liberia remains committed to transparency and accountability in all financial matters. The ministry deeply values the contribution of civil servants to the country's development and assure them of their unwavering commitment to timely salary payment. So the same thing I was saying, the United States government publish what is termed as the investment climate statement for Liberia. And why that report by itself shows some positive signs for the country. But as always, some of our friends will sweep the positive under the rug and highlight the negative. So for us as a ministry and as a government, we want to acknowledge the positive revelation in that report. So the report, among other things, the statement disclosed that in 2024, the Liberian economy grew by 5.1%. And this growth is mainly driven by expansion in mining, agriculture, fishery, and the service sectors. The growth was bolstered by strategic investment in infrastructure and energy development funded by Liberia's international partners, including the World Bank, USAID, IMF, the African Development Bank, and the European Union. The report says that by the time the research were conducted, inflation was at 7.7%. It's now down from 10% in 2023. The statement first said that the government is undertaking initiatives to improve infrastructure, reduce corruption. Thank God the LACC boss is here. Establish more predictable business policy and improve the investment climate. So, somebody who does not have access to the report, if you follow us on outlets are reporting on social media and newspapers, we assume that the report is completely a bad news for the country. But here we are. Here we are. The report is saying that the government is undertaking initiatives to improve infrastructure, reduce corruption, establish more predictable business policy, and improve the investment climate. On the 2024 Transparency International Corruption Perception, the embassy notes that the index indicates that Liberia stepped up 7 places from 145 in 2023 to 135 out of 180 countries. So even on the corruption perception, Liberia made improvements. The report acknowledges the government of Liberia's efforts, including the establishment of the asset recovery and the appointment of officials to improve oversight functions across ministries, agencies, and commissions. Additionally, the report highlights that the President has implemented measures to address issues such as asset declaration and investigation into illegitimate contracts that are waiting awarding processes, promoting ongoing accountability. The Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, LACC, is stepping up campaigns for the government to establish a specialized criminal court that will handle only corruption cases. This is very important. The other day, the LACC boss, she echoed this call. That when they finish doing all the investigation, they go to the court, they get indictment. Even to get indictment, the court docket is crowded. So they talk about the legislature moving to now establish a specialized court for corruption. Go to the court. There are people who are being indicted. And all they do is to get it down at the bad time. And that whole thing was speedy trial. It's not possible. So if you have a specialized court for corruption, today they coming to talk about reports, investigations conducted. Those very investigations will now go to the court, whose dockets are already crowded. They will start waiting for indictment before they schedule the case and everything. It's time consuming. The report also highlighted that effort. So the investment statement also encourages Americans, of course, that there are opportunities to invest in the following sectors in Liberia: agro-processing and food production, renewable energy, information and communication technology, ICT, financial services and financial technology, and manufacturing and waste management. So, this report encourages American investors that if you will come to Liberia to invest, these are areas that are potentially available to you. So the report is good. The ministry would also like to draw public attention to a recent meeting between Foreign Minister Madam Sarah Beswijanti and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, which was held in Washington, D.C. last week. That meeting is a vote of confidence for investment opportunity in Liberia. The two officials met and discussed deepening U.S.-Liberia bilateral relations and expanding U.S. commercial engagement in Liberia. The meeting explored avenues for expanding U.S. participation in Liberia's critical mineral sector with the aim of creating jobs and economic growth in both the United States and Liberia. Secretary Marco Rubio praised the ongoing efforts of the Netherlands Challenge Corporation to develop U.S.-funded infrastructure projects. The two also discussed the shared challenges of migration, that migration poses, and how both countries can work closer together on issues. The LACC boss is here, but the government of Liberia wants to congratulate the executive chairperson of the LACC on her election as vice president for the network of anti-corruption institutions in West Africa. Councillor Alexandra re-election came through a consensus renewal of mandate at the close of the NACI WA's 7th annual assembly held in Abuja, Nigeria on Wednesday, October 15, 2025. The decision reflects recognition of Councillor Zo's outstanding leadership, integrity and commitment to strengthening anti-corruption efforts and promoting cross-border collaboration across West Africa. The assembly, which brought together heads of anti-corruption institutions from all ECOWAS member states, also rectified the ECOWAS guidelines on borderless investigation, asset tracing, recovery and management, calling on all member states to integrate these frameworks into the national system for harmonized implementation. Lastly, before we invite the LACC boss to the podium, we have followed statements attributed to former President Weah, referring to members of the government as charlatans and mountebanks, while also accusing the administration of President Joseph Boakai of evil and constant disregard and abuse of the rule of law. As a ministry that speaks for the government of Liberia, we continue to insist on a vigorous policy-focused debate which must be conducted with honesty and sincerity. It is unfortunate that the former president who mounted the podium at an event that was supposed to be a groundbreaking ceremony for
their political party, to begin to revert to personal insults and name calling. But that's water on the bridge. We reject the characterization from the former president. And for the sake of clarity, we'd like to look at the connotative and denotative meaning of what the former president said to correct his verbal blunder. A multi-brand is a person who deceives us. A charlatan is a person who pretends to have knowledge or skill they do not possess. So from these definitions, it's clear who the charlatans and multi-brands are. We can now safely say that the government, which was headed by the charlatans and multi-bands, were voted out, were booted out by the Liberian people 2 years ago. When you decide to describe a government that is doing everything to remake the country, all of you bear testament to the improvement in the road infrastructure, judicial reform ongoing at the judiciary, anti-corruption fight, efforts to improve the national electricity sector, efforts to improve civil service salary. So between this government and the government that was presided over here by the former president, who deceived who? Who deceived who? The CDC as a political party founded on the masses mantra in 2005, rally the beautiful population, rally the slum dwellers of our country. And by the help of the people, they ascended to power in 2018. What did they do? The very people who brought them to power, the very party that brought them to power, they deceived the party, they deceived the people. That's why the party was evicted. They were basically amassing wealth for themselves. The president himself presided over the mass looting of the country. You know what happened to 16 billion? You know what happened to the 46 condominiums on the highway? You know all of the negative things that happened to the country. So he deceived the population. He deceived his people. And so, in an attempt to revive themselves, they finally got a plot of land, you go to break ground, just focus on what you're there for. He tried to choose subtle jobs at the government that is doing everything to repair and clean the mess that you created. It is wrong. We wish to remind the former president that his blemishes of his ill-fated leadership are still fresh on the minds of the leaders. The nation has not forgotten how the former president presided over the mass looting of state resources. We have not forgotten the domestic debt scandal he created. The GAC just concluded an audit, saving this struggling republic over 700 million. All those aside of the budget. Senator Dillon, as an outspoken member of the legislature, pleaded with the president's economic management team during the era of President William. Please release a list of domestic debts that you paid. They held it like a Pandora box. We could never release it. Today, the GSC have gone into that place. They saved the country over 700 million. We have not forgotten. Today, our foreign minister is having a meeting with the Secretary of State and acting advisor on national security to President Donald Trump. Not in Europe, but in the White House. We have not forgotten that under the leadership of one President Weah, our foreign minister was basically claiming me on sexual related offenses in America. You know that. So who deceive who? Who are the real multi-banks? Who are the charlatans? Where are we? Have you forgotten? This nation was being isolated under your leadership because nobody formed confidence in this country. They were imposing sanctions on his chief of staff, on ministers. And today, we have elevated the standing of this country from isolation to being a member elected to the UN Security Council. Let us not play politics with everything. As a former president, we expect him to be above the fray. I want to start with.
Good afternoon. Honorable Ministers of the Ministry of Information, platform guests, my beloved members of the Food Estate, fellow Liberians out there in Radio Land, good afternoon. I bring you greetings from the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, Liberia's premier institution charged with the statutory responsibility of investigating, prosecuting acts of corruption, as well as educating the public about the ills of corruption and the benefits that comes with eradicating corruption in Liberia. I want to use this opportunity to thank the government of the Republic of Liberia for the recognition of my ascendancy or re-election as Vice President of NACIWA. NACIWA is the network of anti-corruption institutions in West Africa. That body was established in 2010, and it is basically established to enhance collaboration amongst anti-corruption agencies in West Africa. I want to say that I'm going to use that platform to continue to push Liberia's anti-corruption agenda. While I served as the Vice President for the last 2 years, and during my tenure there, we benefited from training opportunities, technical assistance, and we're going to continue to use our position to ensure that Liberia agenda for anti-corruption are addressed at that forum. So today's presentation is in fulfillment of our quarterly update, regular update that we bring to the public, basically highlighting our activities for the period under review. And so today's presentation will highlight key activities, our achievements, our challenges during the reporting period. The presentation will highlight progress made in implementing the Commission's core mandate in collaboration with our local and national partners. And so I will begin with the first activity that we kick off in the third quarter, which is participation in a national dialogue on accountability and a proposed national anti-corruption code. I'm smiling because finally my prayer has been answered. The President has heard my prayers for the establishment of the National Anti-Corruption Code. And so earlier this year, he issued Executive Order 148, renewing the mandate of the Office for the Establishment of the War Crimes Code and the Economic Crimes Code, particularly or specifically directing that office to lead the charge in galvanizing support for the establishment of the National Anti-Corruption Code. And of course, the Office for the Establishment of the War Crimes Code is working closely with the LACC because we are the institution that benefit most from the establishment of the National Anti-Corruption Code. I've said it several times on this platform that we had a draft act that was before the legislature. All of those acts that were proposed by the LACC are now being collated and reviewed by the technical team that was set up by the Office for the Establishment of the Code. We have a deadline of November to come up with the first draft, and hopefully we will come up with that draft, and that draft will be presented to the legislature. I can safely quote from Councilor Babu that come 2026, the National Anti-Corruption Code will be established to give the LACC. We have the direct prosecutorial power, but we don't have the arena to go and prosecute. And so when we get that anti-corruption code, what it does is it's going to speed up trial that will eventually lead to asset recovery. So this is one development that I just want to inform the public about. But notwithstanding, while we are waiting for the National Anti-Corruption Code, the LACC has also been implementing its mandate. I'm going to start with our education and prevention efforts during the period. During the period, we continue our public awareness and anti-corruption education across several counties. We organized a 2-day investigative journalism training for 30 journalists representing all 15 counties across Liberia. I don't know, I think some of you attended the training. It was actually held in Lima County from August 7th to August 8th, 2025. It was sponsored by our partner, the UNDP. And also as part of our decentralization initiative, we're trying to move our activities out of Monrovia. We conducted integrity and ethics training for local government officials, also in Limba, Grand Bassa counties, marking the first time over a decade that the Commission delivered consecutive regional capacity building and engagement. So these are the efforts we are undertaking when it comes to sensitizing the public about corruption. As we speak, we have our team in the market currently. They are down Wallace Market. We are continuing because, like we normally say, this is not just a government fight. It is a fight for all of us. But before we can join, all Liberians can join this fight. You have to understand what is it that we are fighting. And so this is our mission under the Education and Prevention Department of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission. And now it brings me to the asset declaration regime of the Government of the Republic of Liberia. When we started the asset declaration regime or the asset declaration exercise, our goal is to ensure that we get 100% compliance with officials of government that we have identified. Why this is a little bit challenging. We can safely say that the number is increasing. We have, I can say here that we have up to 90% compliance, but our goal is 100% compliance. And so I will just give the figures for third quarter where we are when it comes to asset declaration. So during the reporting period, the LACC received a total of 216 asset declarations from public officials across the executive, the legislative, and the judicial branches. Specifically, 84 declarations were submitted by officials from the executive branch, and from the legislature, particularly the Senate, 35 administrative staff of the Senate declared their asset, and 7 senators filed their asset declaration also with the LACC. From the House of Representatives, we have 4 representatives that declared their asset. The judiciary recorded 10 declarations, including the new Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, His Honor Justice Waka M. Kane. So these are efforts that are being exhibited by public officials. Like I said, the LACC wants 100% compliance, and so for fourth quarter, we're going to ensure we continue to work with public officials to ensure that we get that full compliance. So I will normally speak to compliance, and then I will speak to non-compliance. So for non-compliance, we identify a total of 140 officials. And I would like to say here again, this 140 officials, I need you to pay attention to the number because this is something I've been reporting for the past 2 months. We have some officials who are in Monrovia and just refuse to comply. But we will, by December, we will put the final listing for 2025, or let public know who are these non-compliant officials. So if you are a non-compliant official, if you know you are occupying government position, including board members, any position that is clearly defined in the LACC guideline that will issue this 2025, if you don't have the guideline, please go to our website, www.lacc.gov.lr, go to the place that says publication, download our regulation and read, and make sure you fall, when you fall in that position, please come and declare your asset. So we have been also talking about verification process. We can safely conclude that we are drafting our final report. This exercise has been ongoing for a while now, and the reason is because we've been collaborating with other institutions. So we've been collaborating with the LRA, we've been collaborating with Sandra, we've been collaborating with the National Business Registry, and we all know getting information, getting documents, all of these, all of institution is a bit difficult because we do a lot of manual paperwork. So to go into the archive, pull out document, it takes a while. But we will be coming out with our final report. We'll be coming out with a lot of reports for 2025 in the last quarter. So this closes the issue about asset declaration, except maybe I will take specific questions later on. But I would like to use this opportunity to congratulate the Liberia Revenue Authority to the period under review. The Liberia Revenue Authority implemented, we collaborated with the LACC to implement a board resolution that was previously passed by a board some years ago to ensure that all staff of the Liberia Revenue Authority declare as whether you sweeper, you janitor, all staff, given the nature of the work that is done at that institution, the board thought it prudent to ensure that all staff declare. So as I stand here, I can safely say that as at as at the third quarter of 2025, we have 100% compliance from the Liberia Revenue Authority. I will call on other ministries and agencies to emulate the job or the work of the Liberia Revenue Authority to come and declare your asset. So that brings me to institutional partnership and collaboration. So during the period under review, we also signed two memoranda of understanding. We signed two memoranda of understanding. One with Global Fund, and Global Fund focused on enhancing transparency and accountability in the health sector financing. Global Fund has been one of our partners in the health sector. They have provided funds for a lot of projects that have been undertaken by the Ministry of Health, and they are currently reviewing some of those projects, and they wanted to collaborate with the LACC to be able to identify issues and then be able to address those issues. So that was the reason we signed the MOU, and part of that MOU to LACC and the government stand to benefit from training again, as well as technical capacity. And then we also signed an MOU with the Financial Intelligence Agency. So most of our cases we receive are firstly from the GAC, and then second from the Financial Intelligence Agency through collaboration. And they also help us when it comes to freezing of bank accounts, because the LACC, in as much as we have the Tarpeh secretarial power, we cannot on our own proceed to the bank and freeze assets. So this is where we collaborate. We have been doing this just by regular collaboration, but we decided to put this into formal writing. And this is just to demonstrate our commitment to the fight against corruption. We've been also collaborating with the civil society organization, particularly the Central. We've attended some forums with Central, and we will continue to collaborate with them to push anti-corruption agenda throughout the Republic of Liberia. Decentralization. I spoke about decentralization. We are taking steps. We have identified two offices, one is in Bomi and one is in Bon County. We have identified the offices. We are now working with the county authorities to be able to officially, as well as GSA. We are working closely with those authorities to be able to formally turn those offices over to LACC so that we can take over and start making the offices operational for us to begin activities in those counties. Those counties will serve the region. So for Bomi, it will serve Cape Mount, Bako County. For Bon County, it will serve Lima County, Margibi County, as well as other counties within the region. So this is our decentralization efforts. Now it brings me to investigation, one of our core mandates. So during the period under review, the monitoring and investigation department reported 48 new cases from July to September. And these cases basically come from the GAC audit reports. When GAC audit report comes in, we do an assessment of the cases. So we reported 48 new cases, but we already had 98 cases that we were already dealing with, and this brought the total cases that we handled for the period to 144. We did an assessment of the cases and we identified 15 cases. And somebody will ask, what is the criteria we use? We use the amount involved, we use the availability of the persons of interest, and the time frame. So we identified 15 cases. Out of the 15 cases, we concluded investigation into 6 cases. We concluded investigation into the Ministry of Health FARA projects. We concluded investigation into the National Water and Sanitation and Hygiene Commission, the WASH Commission, current officials of that commission. We concluded investigation into the Liberia Agriculture Commodity Regulatory Authority, the LACC. We concluded investigation into the Monrovia Consolidated School System, MCSS case. We concluded investigation into the National Fishery and Aquaculture Authority, the NAFA case, and we concluded investigation into the Bureau of State Enterprises case. So, the total possible loss to government from these investigations that we have identified is United States $6,534,000 and Liberian dollars $70,966,000. Imagine if these money were used for the intended purpose, what we would have today as a nation. But meanwhile, we are still continuing active investigation into cases earmarked. For example, the LFA case, we are continuing investigation. The National Insurance Company, we are continuing our investigation for this fourth quarter. Ministry of Transport, Liberia Commission on Small Arms, amongst other. I will encourage you, we have this, our full report, detailed full report is on our website. So please go to the website and read our reports. You will see the listing. We have the appendix there. You see the listing of cases. We broke them down into quarters, and we broke them down into different groups. So it brings me to prosecution efforts. In fulfillment of our prosecutorial mandate for period honor review, we engaged a grand jury of Montserrado County, and we secured three indictments in Montserrado County. We secured indictment in the LCCC case, we secured indictment in the LTA case, and we secured indictment in the LACC case. In Bakolu County, we secured indictment in the Bakolu County procurement of the yellow machine case. We secured indictment in the Lofa County University case, which is in Lofa County, and in Bomi County, we secured indictments in the Bomi County University case. All of these indictments were served on the defendants. They have filed their bonds, and we are now awaiting. In addition to filing their bond, they filed motions, and these are some of the legal hurdles or hiccups that we have in the entire prosecution of these cases. So when it is a constitutional right that on our laws, people are presumed innocent until proven guilty, and every person is entitled to bail and bond. And corruption is a bailable offense. And so when we arrest people and we serve indictment on them, what they do is they go to the court and file criminal appearance bonds, and then they are released on those bonds until the court can begin to hear the matter. So even if they run away, we will go into trial because they are already been brought under the jurisdiction. When we win the case, we'll go after, if it is an insurance company that filed a bond, we'll go after the insurance company to recover the money. But as we speak, all of these cases, we have the defendants, they have filed motions, we argue the motion, they will take us upstairs to the Supreme Court. I think you as journalists, you have been following the process. Motions are preliminary proceedings that are in court. Motions have to be filed and disposed of, and rulings are brought down in these motions so we can even go into trial. And so happy that now we are reviewing our laws, we are reviewing the penal code, we are reviewing the criminal procedure law, we are reviewing the law establishing the National Anti-Corruption Code. Once we can review those laws and the legislature pass our new laws into acts creating the Liberia Anti-Corruption Code, we'll be able to speedily try these cases. Until then, we will continue to engage the courts, the criminal court C, the Supreme Court, to put our cases on a docket so that we can hear into these matters, because we cannot recover assets except through a final judgment from the court. Unfortunately, it's the way our laws work. So we will continue our investigation, we will continue our indictments, and we will continue to engage the court to be able to put our cases on a docket. What we are doing now, again, we are also trying to look out there to see. We're going to, for the fourth quarter, court opens in November. We are going to go to local county and county county to start those other cases on our side, while we also engage the criminal court here again to see if they can put our case, one or two cases on a docket to be able to hear these cases. Until we can have the anti-corruption dedicated court that is dedicated to prosecuting cases of corruption, there will continue to be delay in these activities or in this prosecution. And so we are working tirelessly. Like I said, we are targeting the end of 2026. So this brings me to the end of our prosecution efforts. Somebody will ask, well, what are your challenges? Our challenges remain the same: operational constraints, delays in receiving our budgetary allotments. But I must commend the NFDP for the last quarter. They have been forthcoming, and so this is why you continue to see more and more of indictments that will be coming up for the period, the next period, which is the fourth quarter. And I just mentioned the issue of judicial delays. We encounter just basic legal delays when it comes to motions. Imagine you serve somebody in indictment in one case, the person going file motion to dismiss, motion for severance, motion, like 3, 4, 5 motions. The court has to hear into all of those motions. Let's say that we indict 4 persons. 4 persons filed 3 motions. 4 times 3 are 12. The 12 motions have to be heard, and the court has to rule on them before, when we clear the motions, before we can go into full trial. These are tactics that are being deployed by the defendant. Again, it is the law, it is the right under the law to file this motion, and it is the duty of the court to speedily dispose of this motion. So, like I said, we'll continue the engagement with the court while also pushing for the establishment of the Liberia National Anti-Corruption Code. As we go out there to our various platforms, we want to encourage you, the media, because the information you put out there will go a long way in sensitizing the public as to the effort that government is making when it comes to the fight against corruption. You see the different reports. The reports highlight that government is making strides. We have the laws on the book, it's just the enforcement is the issue. So I will stop here, and then there's going to be an interactive section. Take questions. Or I'll turn it over to the I'll turn it over to the Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. With the conclusion from the Executive Chairperson of the LACC, will now entertain questions from the press. Pamela, please handle that. The result is late. Heavy late. So the county health officer from the Ministry of Health. Yes, nobody can repeat themselves, so I think
So the active Minister of Information, the entire management team of the Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism. So our LACC chair and all of our guests, members of the food estates, distinguished ladies and gentlemen in this room, and to our viewers in the room. My name is Dr. Jewell Kollie, and I'm the County Health Officer for Montserrat County. So, Dr. Tia Sakimo, who's the Assistant Minister for Curative Services, who have been here today, but due to other press engagements, I was asked to represent him. So I bring you greetings from the Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Louis Poto, and the entire senior management team of the Ministry of Health. Yesterday, there was a public health advisory circulating from the Ministry of Health, keeping the public informed and not to panic about some ongoing increase cases in seasonal flu or flu-like symptoms. And particularly, we have received numerous from communities and schools in Montserrat and even outside Montserrat. This is not a call to panic, but to just inform the public of what's ongoing and how we can all take precautionary measures. So the seasonal flu is something, as we approach, we are in an era of transition from one season to the other. Well, we are transitioning currently from the rainy season to the dry season. And most times in these seasons, in this transition, we have increased flu-like symptoms cases across the country. So this is not something very strange. It's just something that we want to inform the public to take precautions. Currently, what have we done? Someone may ask. We have collected, because we don't know what we're dealing with. We have collected samples from patients, and those samples have been sent to the National Public Health Reference Lab to be analyzed, and the results will be disseminated to the public through the appropriate medium. So this is just a brief, just to reassure the public of what is going on and what are the basic signs and symptoms. So yesterday, when the ministry released that advisory, there were a lot of people commenting, I'm experiencing this, we've received a lot of calls from different communities, from schools, about these symptoms. And we just thought to create an awareness so that if you are experiencing these symptoms, or if you know anyone who are experiencing these symptoms, to just take precautionary measures. So symptoms come from like fever, some may or may not experience fever, headache, cough, running nose, and other symptoms. So what we are encouraging the public to do, until we are very sure of what we are dealing with, so wash your hands as frequent as possible, avoid close contact with individuals who are sick, cover your nose and mouth when you are coughing or sneezing, seek medical attention if you have worsening symptoms. Why is it true that these symptoms they are mild to moderate, and also I mean, without taking anything, some people recover, but there have been, cases in the past where people have severe symptoms. And we are urging you to seek medical attention if you have severe symptoms. So in the past, Liberia Ministry of Health, National Public Health Institute established what we call sentinel sites. These sites were established in 5 counties in Liberia. Monserrado have 3 sites, Nimba 2, Maryland 1, and Greenbasso. These sites were established and it's still ongoing to collect real-time information data on flu-like symptoms. So in the past, we have the outbreak of COVID and other influenza-like illnesses. So these sites were established and they're still ongoing. So we are also monitoring our sites very closely. If there's also increased trend in these cases at those sites, the public will also be informed. So we want to also use this medium, aside from just flu-like symptoms and other illnesses, we also want to use this medium to continue our public awareness on the ongoing mpox virus that's in Liberia, with Monserrado also accounting for increased number of cases. We have been creating awareness, we are still creating awareness, but there are different challenges we are experiencing. Some ranging from people being in denial, some ranging from people hiding themselves, and not being wanting to get the appropriate care. So we just want to use this medium again to inform the public about the monkeypox virus. We have vaccines available for people for contact of a direct case, and also for our frontline health workers. And also we have our key populations as well. So with this, we want to use this opportunity to thank all of you, our community members, the school administration that have brought this to our attention. And again, we are not working alone. We are also working in collaboration with the Ministry of Education. So we've had different schools calling. Some of the students are coming down with different flu-like symptoms. So we don't want to wait until things blow out of proportion, but to just use the Ministry of Information, regular press briefing, where we have more people watching across all social media platforms and also in the diaspora, to create this awareness so that the public can be informed and to also take appropriate measures. So this I will pause, and then if there are questions, we will be available and glad to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. This is communication. We have questions for the General Contact or Information from the Ministry of Health.
So my name is Joseph Elip. My first question goes to the LACC boss. Some Liberians believe that the LACC have taken over the country in terms of budgetary and benefited from the budget and have done less in terms of fighting corruption. Now, we often see the LACC running after alleged people who are accused of corruption. When we saw blog comment on Facebook and reference these people, they suspect them. But when it comes to the prosecution of cases, the LACC is very slow. I want to know if you were to give us a picture of the total case that you have prosecuted since you took over that institution. How many cases? Because you still see corruption visible everywhere, and just because that, we had a situation at the Capitol building where it was alleged that some lawmakers were bribing in the removal of the battle speaker. And I want to know what's the current status with that case. And to the the authority from the health ministry, you are telling us that the Ministry of Health, we just don't know what we are dealing with, but you're telling us to watch our hands. So, is there something that we will start to, that we should start to know what we're dealing with? Because now you say we don't know what we're dealing with.
Thank you. My name is Desmond Wayne. I report for Democratic Watch newspaper. Thanks so kindly to the presenters. Let me begin with Councilor Alexandra of the Anti-Corruption. You said there is this rapid increment in terms of number of cases. Some of the cases come from the GSA report, totaling up to 148 cases currently you have. We are concerned to know as to whether all of these cases, now that you just confirmed the issues about trial at the court is a major impediment, so for how long will these people continue to roam around on bonds while Liberians that they have been alleged of corruption still suffer? And the last question is, the president came up with very strategic measures in terms of suspending some of the government officials in the executive branch of the government on non-compliance of asset declaration. With the 140 non-compliant officials you mentioned about, do we still have members from the executive branch? Tell us how many of those people from the judiciary and how many of them from the legislature? Maybe you said I didn't get it, and to the representative of the country that thing. Thanks so kindly. That is very strange. Normally we know diseases, virus, Dr. Kollie, I get it correctly. You know, you're not familiar with the press, but coming soon we'll get to know you better. So this thing, I want you to classify this entire thing that we're dealing with, whether it's virus or disease. That's why according to you say you don't know what exactly I'm dealing with. But to what sort of reliance can Liberians be assured of this being continued? You as a health specialist. And my last question to the government is a humble recommendation. I'm glad that the deputy professor is here. We understand that media is time consuming, so just as that time consumption will be applied to journalists asking questions, we kindly recommend that also be applied to the guest while presenting. We don't want it to be like when the guest present, use all of the time, and journalists asking questions, you restrict it to 2-3 questions, so the audience cannot describe that would be oppression. Thank you very much.
My name is Christopher Bergman, and of course I report for Inside Liberia. With the main emphasis you place on the establishment of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Court, I want to know whether some mechanisms are actually in place to ensure the independence and effectiveness of this court prior to the full operational activities. And a follow-up to that, do you really think that there will be some challenges in establishing this particular anti-corruption court? And so the team from the Ministry of Health, Kollie, with the unknown sickness, disease, or virus we're talking about, you didn't mention anything involving the Liberia Public Health Institute. Where are we with them? Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is George Popo, and I report for DN News on television. Last week, Tuesday, Senator Umutoni of Baku County said that the current superintendent of Baku County was indicted by the LACC, and up to present, the superintendent stayed in the position to call on the police, the senators to intervene. So I want you to kindly clarify that whether or not the LACC ever indicted the superintendent of Baku County.
Thank you very much for the questions. I will start with Joseph asserted that the Liberian people believe that they do more from Liberians and giving less. I don't know what the basis of that statement. I don't know what is the yardstick. But if anybody wants to be realistic, you see clearly that this body of commissioners, since we took over from the LACC, we have been making strides, even with the limited resources that we have, even with the challenges that we have. We have been investigating cases, concluding cases, drawing up indictment. I just stated here clearly in my presentation that We are not shying away from prosecuting. As I speak to you, you ask how many cases, we have 9 cases. When they say prosecution, prosecution begins from the day that you indict people up to the day you get judgment. We have taken steps to indict not 9 persons, but 9 different cases. We have drawn up indictment in 9 different cases. Some of the cases we indicted 3 persons, and the next time I come, I'll be able to put the number together as to the total individuals we have indicted. But we have filed since 2024. In fact, since 2023, we have filed 9 indictments. If you work with any lawyer, you understand what it takes to get indictment out of court. You understand that we are indeed making strides. Where we have the issue is the issue of moving into full-scale trial that will lead ultimately to a conviction or a conclusion is where we are. And that is that problem does not lie with LACC now. It lies with the existing court structure. It lies with the existing laws that we have. And I said that until we can review our laws, until we can amend our laws, if you take a look around us here, just right next to our country, on our law, when LACC begins to investigate, the burden of proof is on LACC. When somebody can say John Brown, there's procurement fraud, we have to go for all the procurement documents. When somebody said John Brown built this house out of stolen money, say for example, Ministry of Health, Ebola money, or whatever, we have to follow for the information. Unlike other countries, where in West Africa, if they just suspect based on suspicion, it's called illicit enrichment, and that is why we are also pushing for the passage of the Illicit Enrichment Act, where it will allow us to move in and we will seize properties. And it is you who are the property owner. You will now be coming to LACC with your documents to say the property that they didn't buy it with stolen money, but yeah, my document. If you know what we go through as we speak, we have only 14 investigators. We have a team of 20 persons in our investigation unit. Only 14 persons investigating all of these 100 and something cases. I have my staff. When they're ready to go for investigation, they have to get on motorbike to go for investigation. These staff stay in office while people are going home at 5 p.m. Some of my staff, I really get it very well. I will cut my electricity up because you're running my electricity bill. But these are people that stay, especially when it's coming to last, when we have quarterly reports to make. These are sacrifices we are making. But I understand the frustration because we are the institution that is supposed to take the blame because we are charged with the responsibility of persecuting. And so I'm saying until we can go back to our laws and have a major reforms in our, and some of the issues are not just for the laws, they are constitutional issues. Because even in the process of reforming or reviewing the laws, when we have roundtable discussion, a lot of constitutional issues started coming up. If you pass the law to seize people out, what happens to the constitutional provision that no person is supposed to be deprived of life, liberty, or property, etc., and outcome of the code? So I want to use this opportunity. The LACC is not giving less than what is being given to them. We are trying our best, and I want us to, all of us, to put a hand around the LACC to be able to work on sensitizing our people. Basically, if you let them know what are some of the constraints, I'm not going to go on the constraint, we'll continue our work. Me, I always tell my people and the prosecutors, I say, y'all, do the indictments, let's have the indictments waiting so that the day that we get the court, we will proceed to be able to persecute. And then another question you said, what are the total cases since we took over? Since we took over, we have drew up indictment in 9 cases, the records are there. We have tried our best, since 2024, we have tried our best to try 4 cases. We won 3 of those cases, and we lost 1 in one county. which is the Montgomery County case. We lost it. We won the PIPA case. 1 and 2 people, because what is like, it's the same legal issue we're talking about when we go. The court can ask for separate trial. Imagine you trying, you indict everybody as a team. When the court can ask for separate trial, which is they are lawful under the law. So we try to first jump around for the same act, then we run behind the court again to pull Mary on the docket for the same act, given the limited resources we have. Imagine if we're trying all of those cases, trying all of them at once. But these are some of the constraints that I said we're not going to dwell on the constraint. We'll continue to work and work in the interest of Liberia. Somebody asked, how long will people roam around on thinking? We will continue the engagement with the court, but it does not lie within our purview. We have one court in Montserrat County that hears corruption cases, is the criminal police. I think criminal police can hear criminal cases for private citizens. I think Justice Ministry is using our court. Now we have the asset recovery team, they are using our court. Imagine all of us at our court scrambling. That court can hear only one jury trial per term of court. So you imagine what we're going through to be able to engage the court, push, our agenda forward. Each time we go, the court will normally hear into our motion. And yes, one of the things that we've been suffering from in those cases. So for example, we serve indictment on a particular case. A sitting judge will hear the motion into all of those cases, but will not rule into the motion, will not provide ruling for the motion. So then the term of court will end. So for example, third quarter term court end. You go back for fourth quarter, the judge says he will say, I'm not the one that heard into the motion, so I cannot provide ruling into the motion. So we have to go back again and hear that same motion. Sometimes we hear the motion 2-3 times before finally the judge will rule. Sometimes they take the case upstairs to the Supreme Court. It's there. The Supreme Court too has cases on docket. And these are engagements. These are just impediments that we have. That's why I'm saying until, even the cases that we want, for us to do recovery, the people case. Once on our law, once you file your appeal stays enforcement of judgment. Meaning, when somebody file an appeal, you can't go after them to go recover. The Supreme Court has to, the Supreme Court is the final arbiter. This is why we are seeking all the reforms. We are saying when we are doing the new LACC code, the National Anti-Corruption Code, like the commercial code, when the case when you downstairs and you file appeal, you must put the money in escrow account. Maybe in escrow account. When you take your appeal, if you win the case, we will release the money to you. Otherwise, the LACC will take over. These are all discussions we are having with our partners for reforms into our law. We are just appealing to the public to understand the constraint we are working on. We have the Law Reform Commission is on a review of our laws, and we are working closely with the Office for the Establishment of the War Crime Code. So how many people will roam around is not within our jurisdiction or our purview to determine that. But that question will also come back and say we will continue to engage the court, we will continue to go to the court to ask for the cases to be placed on the docket. And until the lower court can go into the matter, we have jury trial and jury come out with the verdict and the judge rule from the verdict. The people will continue to be out there on their bonds. That's why I said initially, if they run away and we have bond, we'll try the case. And when we get judgment, if it is an insurance company, if it is an insurance bond, or if it's a property bond, we'll go after the bond. For Christopher, inquire what mechanisms are being put in place to ensure independence of the new code. So as we speak, we are currently enacting the law. The technical team is made up of individuals representing different walks of life, CSOs, the Liberia National Bar Association, the international community. This technical committee is responsible to put the TORs and everything into place. That particular issue came up, especially with the selection of judges. What are the criteria that are going to be used? And so we are also taking time to look at other models that are being used by our colleagues around, so that we can ensure that this code meets international standards. But that's a very good point, and like I said, it's something that basically to ensure independence, it's not something that is only being done by the government, it's being done by stakeholders representing different walks of life. When they come up with their final draft, including the TORs, including the criteria for the selection of judges, then you'll be able to reflect the independence of the court. Also coming the superintendent, somebody wanted us to confirm. Yes, I just mentioned Baku County yellow machine case that involved the superintendent of Baku County. He was indicted, he filed his form, and we in November, the next term of court, we are moving to Baku County for trial in that case. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the questions. So I'll ask 3 questions. The first question was the time frame. Like I stated, we collected the samples yesterday, and those samples were transported to the National Public Health Reference Lab. So we are expected to get results in as soon as possible time. And once those results are out, we will inform the public through the appropriate media. And next question was to classify. So the thing is, flu-like illnesses, they have the same symptoms. So the likes of influenza A, B, COVID, the common cold, they all have the same symptoms. So preventive measures are all the same. So we don't know whether what we are dealing with, again, we'll say seasonal flu. But seasonal flu is also transmitted by a virus. So whether it's influenza A, influenza B, or any form of any strain of, we don't know. So I can't stand here and say what it is until we get the results from the National Public Health Reference Lab. So for preventive measures, like I said earlier, wash your hands, cover your nose and mouth, stay away from people who are coughing. If you're sneezing, report to the nearest health facility if you have severe symptoms, and just take all necessary precautions. And we are also, the reason I'm here, most rather being the largest in terms of population, highest disease burden, so the assistant administrator otherwise than be here instead of the assistant minister, because I mean the ministry has a decentralized system, and when it comes to health services, we are the implementing arm of the ministry at the county level. So with most of our being reporting cases here and there, we are getting calls here and there from schools, communities. So in their wisdom, they thought it wise that be here to be able to provide information clarity, and also how best we can all be informed about what is going on. And we are now working independently at the county level. It's not Ministry of Health, it's Ministry of Health, and it's all health services. That includes the National Public Health Institute. So someone asks, what about influ? So at the county level, it's not Ministry of Health, it's not influ, it's the health sector, and that includes both the Ministry of Health and the National Public Health Institute. in film. So I think that's all my question.
Thank you.
A very big thank you to all our guests, Mr. Admin Minister. We want to say thanks to our guests and to the journalists that took out the time to cover this regulation. My good friend Desmond, your recommendation is noted. You know, we always try to provide you the time to make the press conference more interactive, but the platform is kind of crowded. Then you got to.
She got a quick. She got something that quickly to say.
So I just wanted to inform the public that still in the fight against corruption, Liberia has a Witness Protection Act, but however, the president recently established through the Ministry of Justice, he just appointed the executive director and the executive director for the Witness Protection Office. These are efforts that will ensure. So if you look at the Witness Protection Act, it has Witness Protection and Whistleblower Act. We will continue to, LACC will now start working with that office to begin to sensitize whistleblowers of their rights. Witness protection, if you are a state witness, because that can also help us win our cases. We have had instances in some of our cases where people serve as witnesses and they are being constantly harassed and they are coming to us as LACC and even though we're working with them, but now we'll begin to transfer them to the office of the witness protection. So if you are a whistleblower out there and you have information about corruption, you stand to gain 5% of commission on the recovery. So please, 5%. Once you come in as a whistleblower, we will log you in, we will work with you closely. So I just wanted to use this opportunity to thank the government, through His Excellency, President Joseph Yumabaka, for the establishment of the Witness Protection Office. Thank you.
Most of you in the media are also blow, so you benefit from that witness protection. Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you on Thursday. Thank you. Thank you.